All right, we are live. What is going on, Chiefs Kingdom? Welcome back to another live edition of The Kingdom Says. I am your host, as always, Mr. Garrett Williams. I am joined today by my two usual co-hosts. We've got one, Mr. Kyle Henning, at the top right of the screen. How we doing tonight, Kyle?
I'm alive. That's where I'm at right now. It's been a lengthy week of work. It's been a lot of work, but I'm here. I'm ready to talk some new and exciting things for the Chiefs and some football. Probably going to be a little petty this evening. Might be emulating someone else who I think might be a little petty later this week. You might stay tuned for stuff that might have to do with that. Other than that, pretty good and ready to talk to you fellas.
Yeah, it's always a good time to talk some Chiefs football. Also joining us, Mr. Arrowhead Tom. How we doing tonight, Tom?
Hey, I'm excited. I'm just glad that you guys invited me to a live show because we both know, collectively, we know that I'm the one who gets things cut out of the show. And I mean, well, you guys, we don't really do that much editing, so
we don't do much editing. I'll tell you what.
Very rarely.
I am surprised that we are doing as well as we're doing. To build on what Kyle was alluding to, I want to confirm the rumors. The Kingdom Says podcast is also going to double as a Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers tribute cover band.
Tom will be doing vocals.
Just to address it in the beginning, yeah. So obviously I'm Tom Petty Part 2. R.I.P. in peace. But yeah, that is the big news. We are going on the road. We're going to do shirtless covers of all the classics. So stay tuned for more information.
You're right. This is a good time to flesh out some of those ideas while the viewer count is still low and nobody's tuning in yet.
Nobody can hold me to my strange declarations,
but also promises. No one to steal the ideas potentially. So
also
we can maybe go ahead and patent some of these things, and no one will even be the wiser. No, unfortunately, we are just going to be sticking to Chiefs football talk and other talk things. Really, that's all. We're good at talking. I don't know if we're very good at Tom Petty cover band. So
it's like an air band kind of like we're gonna lip sync the whole thing.
I can do air band. In my my 5th or 4th grade talent show, I was a part of an air band. That was pretty cool.
I can actually play the drums somewhat, a little bit. It's been a little while, so I probably have to.
I can rock a good air guitar.
But I actually can play the drums a little.
So for those, I don't think anybody has seen. This is kind of what our pre-show is like. Although, to run down what happened before we got on tonight, I shaved my head.
Yeah.
And we debated on what an ophthalmologist,
optometrist, and what the differences are.
And a podiatrist is, because apparently
podiatrist was thrown in there.
Those are a lot of O's and P's that I don't have coordinated in my mind. So,
right.
Yeah, well, we've got Chiefs football to discuss.
Sure do.
I think we've got a couple minutes to get everyone in here. Hi, Garrett's mom. And I'm sure everybody else listening. So let's Garrett, you're in charge of things. Why are you still letting me talk?
I mean, Tom, I just want to see how far you'd go.
I was gonna say we're just gonna. Garrett's like, I'm just gonna let you hang out here in the wind.
Sometimes you don't want to let me cook like that because we'll get weird.
You were cooking. I'll tell you what, you were cooking. No, before we get into it, we gotta shout out everyone tuning in and following along and watching with us. Greatly appreciate all your support. Be sure to check us out, YouTube, Spotify. I just went into a complete random order. YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music to listen to us. Get entered in on the contest still going on Twitter. If you're watching, you can see Kyle holding it in his hands right now. That contest ends tomorrow night. If you go over to Twitter or Facebook, you can get entered in on that contest. Ends Saturday night at midnight for a chance to win that awesome Rasheed Rice print by our friend, the artist chief, Corey Jones. And with that, once again, appreciate you all for tuning in and rocking with us as always. Let's talk some Chiefs football, fellas, because there was some pretty big breaking news came across the desk. What was it, yesterday, day before that? I think 2 days ago at this point in time it happened.
I wish I could tell you what day of the week it is. I don't even know. It was like 4 o'clock in the morning.
Exactly.
It was very early.
Yeah, it came across it was so early that I woke up like probably 2 hours after the news, and I didn't even see it in my algorithm because it was already like old news. Like there was like all the other insiders were just reporting on like random other stuff already, and I was like, wait, hold on, this happened?
Wait a minute, hold on.
The Chiefs officially traded for wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins from the Tennessee Titans in exchange for a conditional 5th-round pick that becomes a 4th-round pick if the Chiefs make the Super Bowl and DeAndre plays over 60% of snaps, which is a very funny stipulation to put into a trade clause that I would gladly accept 100 times out of 100. To sign me up for that one if that's what it takes. But yeah, DeAndre Hopkins, who more than likely will be a Hall of Famer when it's all said and done at the end of his career, whenever he hangs it up. Multi-time All-Pro, Pro Bowler, long time with the Texans, and then went to the Cardinals and then the Titans this past offseason.
3 All-Pros, right?
Yeah, I believe 3 of them. And
3 first-team All-Pros, I should clarify. He has at least 3 first-team All-Pros.
Yeah. Multi-time Pro Bowler, has had many 1,000-yard seasons, many very, very productive years in this league. He's like 30. I want to say he's 30 in his 30s now nowadays. So he's a little bit older. He 32. Was 32. Okay. So he was linked to the Chiefs this past offseason, I believe, is when he signed that contract. Either that or the offseason before, but he was linked to the Chiefs potentially for a free agent deal. The Titans ended up offering him more in the end. And Brett Veach obviously was not going to rest on that one. He made a trade to go get him, to go rescue him from the Tennessee Titans and help fill in our very depleted wide receiver core with a trusted veteran wide receiver who is very route savvy, very good at playing the position, even if he's not as explosive as he once was. Although, if you look at some of his tape from this year, there are still some good flashes. So yeah, DeAndre Hopkins is now officially a Chief, fellas. Whoever wants to go first with their initial thought and reaction. Tom's looking for rock, paper, scissors with Kyle, it appears.
Oh, I'll defer. You got it.
Okay, Tom, you got it.
He
was going to throw paper, I guarantee it.
So you thought I was going to throw paper? What if I don't believe in paper?
No, I think Kyle was going to throw paper.
I was going to throw paper.
I think he's a paper thrower.
That's not good for the environment, Kyle. Save the trees.
I know.
Hey, I'm realizing I moved my mic this morning. Hopefully everybody can hear me.
I bet.
Here's the thing. DeAndre Hopkins got paid some pretty money to play in Tennessee, which is fair. When you're in the NFL, you want to get as much money as you can.
Got to capitalize,
Yeah, because you retire before you're 40 in most cases.
Ideally.
Even before he went to Tennessee, I was like, I definitely didn't want to pay what they paid for him.
Right.
And
oh no, there was no way. That's why he wasn't a Chief to start with.
Yep. And so I think that's good, again, but the explosiveness slowing down, not as big of a deal, simply because that was never his game anyways.
Right.
Catch radius, having ginormous hands, high pointing the ball, understanding leverage, understanding space, understanding what a defense is trying to set up to do, and being able to manipulate those spaces is going to pay really big dividends for this. Just for the longevity here, but also for the Chiefs offense. The big issue, and we saw this only just so briefly early on when we had Rashee Rice in the lineup, and you have Xavier Worthy and you have Travis Kelce, and you can kind of stretch and manipulate those defenses. And I think we'll see an uptick in production, probably a little bit from Xavier Worthy, just because I think Hopkins and Kelce are going to be pulling that attention. So now we're going to have
more attention. Right?
We're going to have the ability to get Worthy into space a little bit more. I like the addition. I shared on Twitter, as we have said on this podcast time and time again, realistic expectations. Let's be mindful. 32 years old. He had MCL surgery in the offseason. It's been a little sore. If he doesn't see a lot of action this week, next, I know they're already talking about him playing. It sounds like he's going to.
Yeah.
But and from the comments I think he made a comment about, playing meaningful football in January.
He made a couple of comments that we'll get to.
So I think there's probably a little bit of a, hey, man, we don't need you to be, 2017 DeAndre Hopkins right now. But if you got a little bit of that left, come January and February, and you cost us an extra round on that draft pick, we'll be pretty happy.
Yeah.
But I like the move. Relatively affordable in terms of draft compensation. The Chiefs have a little bit extra room with, obviously, they got a third-round pick for L'Jarius Sneed. Also to the Titans, who may be the only team left in the AFC so far down on the contender ladder that they're willing to trade with the Chiefs.
That's going to be an early third-round pick, it looks like. So,
Yeah, looking like a good early. I promise I am going to get, I've got the itch. We're going to get in the draft stuff soon. I promise. If you're here and you're itching for the draft stuff.
Tom might get around to it only slightly before normal people this year instead of way before.
Yeah,
might be more on schedule. I'm going to listen to a couple podcasts, but it's fine. Good running back class, though, from what I've heard.
Running back class.
Good running back class. So
at least one good running back, because that kid's a monster.
Yeah, I really think it's just a good, safe move. There's probably more dominoes to that, but I'll defer to Kyle. We'll kick it back to talk about the acquisition of DeAndre.
I know it's not traditional for them. It's not exactly what they've done in the past. He is over 30. He is not your typical under 30 looking to extend, more of a future plan. They're going for the three-peat this year. To get him for a conditional 5th round pick, and the conditions being Super Bowl and 60% of the snaps, to get to the 4th round pick is a low risk, high reward move. That is something the Chiefs specialized in over the last several years. Low risk, high reward, especially in the in-season moves. Preseason and in the offseason, they tend to gamble a little more. They tend to be a little more dice rolly at the casino tables and whatnot. In the in-season, we have the base. We have what we planned for. Now we just need to add whatever. Terrell Suggs, when he came in, was a low-risk, high-reward piece.
Yeah.
Kadarius Toney. They actually gave up more for Kadarius Toney than they did for DeAndre Hopkins, partially because he was younger. Yeah. Low risk, high reward. DeAndre fits that mold. What DeAndre doesn't fit is, like I said, he's a little older, but he's also proven, and considerably proven. He's also, as Tom mentioned, the age thing that usually haunts wide receivers a lot of the time is they lose a step, and he doesn't have the step he did in 2017. He also didn't ever really use that as his main weapon anyway. His feet are still incredible. And he has the one thing that they've really needed on this team for a while, and that's somebody else with sure hands besides Travis Kelce. He's got like the 4th lowest drop rate in the league on a list that includes Larry Fitzgerald, if that tells you how far back the list goes. Larry Fitzgerald's number 1 on that portion of the list. I can't remember the graphic who put that out, but I think it was like 2000. Basically, since DeAndre entered the league, he's had like the 4th lowest drop rate, and the other guys are like Larry Fitzgerald and Terry McLaurin and him. Like it's not a bad list. Also, as Tom was alluding to, his catch radius is unreal. The ball that like everybody was like, oh, if you throw that up, it's got to be you or nobody, that Xavier Worthy kind of let happen. You don't have to worry about that with DeAndre. It's either his ball or no one's for the most part, as long as it's within arm's reach. There's not a lot of concern when it comes to those kind of things. We've talked in the past about the traditional Patrick doesn't like throwing into tight coverage.
Yeah.
It's just not something they did a lot because they didn't really have a guy that was his game and what they were comfortable with and trusted. Right. There's not going to be trust issues. The other thing that Hopkins provides you is red zone threat. It's all really congested down in the red zone as it is. It's really, really congested when you really only have one true weapon down there that's a threat, is Travis Kelce. Now you got to pick your poison. Now you've got to deal with, DeAndre Hopkins is outside by himself, and I don't have a corner that can play him one-on-one. now I have to pick and choose what to do with Travis Kelce and DeAndre Hopkins down there. It's going to open up the offense for a lot of guys. It'll open up for in the bigger portions of the field, I think, like Tom mentioned. But the red zone is where I think you're going to see D-Hop make the most impact on this team. And like I said, for the cost of, I don't know, you guys can look through the 4th and 5th round picks that this team has made. The 4th rounders are a lot better than the 5th rounders. I'll give you that. I'll tell you that right now. But this is an absolute no-brainer, in my opinion, when it came to what the actual compensation was. And I think it's hilarious that a lot of us kind of were just not even thinking about him during the trade conversations, because he'd been talked about and discussed so many times before and not actually come here. All of us were like, yeah, we know that they like him and he likes them, but we've seen this movie and he never ends up here. Well, he's here.
I mean, I was even pretty critical, I think, of him during free agency, because I think he went on a couple podcasts really preaching about really wants to go to a winning team, winning culture, has a chance for the Super Bowl, blah, 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 and then signs with the Titans. It's like, what do you just wanted the money. But hey, listen, it all worked out in the end because he got here, and
money matters.
Obviously, a big part, money matters, and also a very big part of this whole trade is the fact that the Titans are taking on a lot of his salary that trade.
If I understood correctly, he had to sign a reworked deal with them before.
Yeah, someone had reported, he had to basically sign a rework with Titans just so that happen. But yeah, very cool that he got over here. The Chiefs, and obviously that made sense for both sides, salary cap wise and everything it fit. That Chiefs actually restructured Jawan Taylor's contract today, I believe, to help fit that, and maybe even,
I was just saying, they didn't just do it to fit, because technically they had enough room.
Technically, they had enough room. They didn't have a lot of wiggle room left.
They would have had like $600 or $700 left after the cap move. But
so they restructured.
They went ahead and freed up. What was it, Garrett? $5 million more?
It was like 5.8, I think, or 5.6 or something million that they freed by restructuring.
Got updated.
Yeah, see if the number on it. I think I saw like 5 point something, but that obviously helps tremendously with.
Thank you, Chubbs.
Thank you, Chubbs. Yeah, thank you. That helps tremendously with fitting in, and then also adding potentially some more pieces down the line, but. Obviously, specifically with this trade and the wide receiver room being as depleted as it was, we lost Juju Smith-Schuster last game to a hamstring injury that was nagging him, and he's going to be out this week. Then another wide receiver news that they just keep on dropping, but Sky Moore ended up going to the IR in a very surprise move. He wasn't even on the injury report anytime this week, and he gets put on the IR for a core muscle injury.
Such a significant loss to lose somebody who is so vital to the run blocking game.
Yeah, I mean, the run blocking game, he was good, and that was one of his few things. If you don't put a football near his hands, I'll tell you what, don't even try, because it ain't gonna work. But he was a run blocker. He was a special team guy.
He hasn't caught much of anything but a cold in the last few years, and I get it.
Yeah.
I got it so much that he decided to leave. He said, I get it. That's it. I'm out. I'm sure he'll be back with us and happy.
He should be soon. This is classic live show endeavors. But before Kyle's about to...
Yeah.
What? Oh, yeah, your first show when your power went out?
My power went out in the middle of the recording. Just randomly, the wind blew it out. So these things happen. While we wait for Kyle to get back, we're going to... Garrett's going to do a striptease. No, I'm kidding. What were you saying, Garrett?
Well, I was going to say before Kyle got taken off for talking smack about Sky Moore. Just the wide receiver room is even more depleted now. Currently the Chiefs' 4 active, healthy wide receivers are Xavier Worthy, Justin Watson, McCole Hardman, who was on the injury report this week but full participant, and the newly acquired DeAndre Hopkins, who he himself has been dealing with an MCL thing throughout most of this season. So they're really dropping like flies. I don't understand what or why, but the Chiefs re-signed Cornell Powell to the practice squad. So now they have 4 wide receivers on their practice squad. I'm assuming one of them gets elevated. Maybe not.
I'm sure 1 or 2 will get bumped up.
But I would probably guess that one of them gets elevated. And kind of helps fill that role, because we're wearing out of bodies. So good to have D-Hop in the red and gold. Still kind of feels a little surreal seeing him out there wearing number 8. He's wearing number 8. Took Justin Ross's number.
Yeah, sorry, Justin.
Yeah, sorry.
dude.
Former Clemson, buddy. Hey, let me get this 8 from you real quick. Don't even bother.
Yeah. Well, two things. We mentioned Jawan Taylor.
Mm-hmm.
Talking about DeAndre's hand size, 10 inches, both of them. So DeAndre Hopkins has huge hands. In the 87th percentile for wide receivers, according to Mock Draftable. And then I wanted to just briefly touch on the fact that I know that he's injured, but obviously we have, it was a big move. I think it's going to be important for us, but Hollywood Brown is in that room, right? They played a little bit together during their time in Arizona, but also Rashee Rice, who, if I remember correctly, had talked about DeAndre Hopkins as kind of a player that he modeled his game after. And I know Rashee's not playing right now, but I think if I remember correctly, there was reports that he's back in the building. I don't think that's a coincidence. It would be it would be really good to get some of that. Just gosh, if Rashee's not going to make it back this season, I would just take some duct tape and stick him on DeAndre's hip. Just say, all right, whatever he does while he's at his building,
really needs to stick to his hip for real. I mean, Sky Moore, even though you're on IR, you better stick to his hip. Everyone can learn a lot from D Hop. Definitely a guy you want to absorb a lot of information from.
Yeah. Well, here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna ask you.
There's comment about the practice squad receivers. Yeah, I don't know if there's been an official word exactly about who was going to get called up. That would be kind of ironic if Cornell Powell was the first one activated, as he's the one who just returned from being in the practice squad. As Kyle rejoins us, welcome back, Kyle.
Yeah. Hello, everybody.
That's okay. We kept our clothes up while you were away. I would look at whoever that fifth guy is probably going to be. They're going to look really heavily at who can contribute the most on special teams in that area.
Yeah.
It's right now. It's a tough situation because obviously Juju's injury is one that you can kind of drag along and you kind of have him in, hopefully you haven't lost him long term, but I think that it's going to be kind of a load management. We've seen this before. So, and I'm going to throw this question here. Do they make another move for a receiver, especially after the cap clearing? I mean, I know trying to predict Brett Veach is,
Yeah, it's always hard to predict Brett.
Unless it's an offensive tackle, I don't have any expertise. But 2 for 2 on those. But, what do you guys think? Should they? Do you think they do? Do you think they want to?
Yeah, I don't know. The only other move that kind of would make sense for me at this point would be bringing back, like we've kind of talked about, bringing back a guy that is familiar with the system already. DeMarcus Robinson has been a name pretty prominent in the trade rumors the past few weeks, along with Cooper Kupp, two guys from over there in LA. I wouldn't mind seeing D-Rob back. I don't know. There might be, there's a couple other guys I suppose you could add to the equation and get some production out of, but I don't know necessarily if the Chiefs end up going with another wide receiver or not. I think they probably just roll with who they got and go with some practice squad elevations or whatnot. But Jay Binkley said it on there. Yeah. So those radio guys are always, they're sometimes keyed in some pretty important things, but who knows?
And those things can be fluid, right?
It's
they can
interesting.
change pretty quickly.
The thing that I would be a little surprised about is that D-Hop does a majority of the things that Justin Ross does well better than Justin Ross, and Justin Ross doesn't play special teams really. They tried him a little bit with that in the preseason. He struggled a little bit with certain things. He struggled with blocking in the preseason. He absolutely, I remember the third preseason game specifically, he whiffed on a block in the backfield to try to get the running back free and got a running back killed because of it.
I remember that.
He also was still struggling with lining up where he was supposed to line up.
That's the biggest thing
on plays like 3 years in. So like I said, hey, if he gets a shot and he balls, great. I root for the kid. His story is incredible, what he went through at Clemson, what he's come back from. I think the one thing we really didn't talk about with D-Hop, it benefits the young guys in this wide receiver room, even the ones that are out and hurt right now. That be Rashee Rice, that be Sky Moore. I know everybody's done with Sky Moore, but the Chiefs don't seem to be done with Sky Moore. Unless
don't say bad things about Sky Moore, Kyle. That's what got you.
That's it. Last time you
I
did
know.
that, you disappeared.
No,
He might not be good at
StreamYard.
football, but he's got connections.
StreamYard can't seem to figure
Public
out
branding.
that my internet works, even though it works. Just I don't know what's going on. So it's his presence in that locker room as a veteran guy and a guy that's willing to be a mentor to young guys. That's been stated by Justin Reed. It was stated by if you were listening or got a chance to jump in the spaces with our friends from Kingdom Cast and Arrowhead AM PM and some of those guys, there was a Mark Gunnels, I think, was hosting that one at the time too. One of the beat reporters from Tennessee was in the spaces discussing how good of a locker room presence and leader that D-Hop is. He's always willing to answer questions and help the young guys and whatnot. Now, he may be a little short with the media, or not the most normal dude in the media and the front lines. If you watched his first press conference, he's an interesting cat from all accounts by everyone that follows him. He's super involved in like fashion. He spends a lot of time overseas in Paris during like the off season. He's a very unique individual. However,
big personality.
The leadership side of it and the willing to mentor, that fits perfectly into this locker room. That is exactly what the leadership of this team does routinely. Travis is a guy who will share. Obviously, if you guys look at tight end U, but I think the guy that honestly makes the most sense for them to elevate is a guy that they actually didn't have on the practice squad until very recently.
Yeah,
Cornell Powell. Another Clemson wide receiver. That's the third Clemson wide receiver on this roster.
They have a lot of Clemson guys now, huh?
He had a really, really nice preseason. I actually thought that he was going to be able to keep his practice squad spot until they went a different route with Carson Steele taking an active roster spot. It kind of moved the wide receivers around. He has some ability to do all of the special teams things. He also was lining up and handling that. I believe in the preseason, his touchdown, he actually called the play with Matt Nagy, according to one of the locker room reports, and they were talking about it.
Oh, yeah.
So, and
he had a really
scored
good
on it.
preseason.
So
he had probably
that
one of the better
tells you-
preseasons of all that group of wide receivers.
Yeah, that tells you that he understands the offense, which I think goes more to like the lining up correctly thing and like knowing where, like,
more familiarity in it.
a little more familiar. He'd been around a little bit longer, I think an extra year on top of the other two guys. He can play some gunner. He can probably play some gunner. He could probably return kicks for you if he had to in a pinch, if McCole or something were to happen to him.
Right.
I know they've put Carson Steele back there at points to do kick returns and stuff with the two guys back.
Yeah, him and McCole.
So
this guy was handling some of it, so yeah. Pacheco was handling some of it at one point, but
Cornell Powell is a name. I know he wasn't on the squad. I brought him back recently, but he's a name that I would watch for the elevation over maybe Montrell Washington or Nico Remigio or Justin Ross, just because of the extra dimensions he brings, while still being able to play wide receiver snaps in a pinch if he has to.
I agree. Yeah, I think that'd probably be my pick, which is funny because, like you said, he wasn't even on the practice squad. There was like a report preseason or before the season that you couldn't be on a team's practice squad for like 3 or 4 years straight. So, but then maybe this is a loophole. They cut him and then bring him back. So it's not the same tenor. I don't know.
Is he vested now because he's in the league?
Potentially, yeah. Maybe he's one of like the vested spots instead of I don't know. The practice squad is interesting, but
they changed the roster limit rules on the practice squad like every 20 minutes. It feels like
no one ever. It is very telling, and we've talked about it a little bit. Like it's very telling that even with all these injuries, they haven't elevated the other three wide receivers.
Also on the D-Rob conversation.
Yeah, that is a funny thing about that. But it's very telling that they haven't elevated any of the other three wide receivers yet. And then, this one more injury happens and they decide to bring back Cornell instead of any other move, really, So,
well, there's still, hold on, there's still 11 more days until, like, the trade deadline is not till November.
Well, yeah, I'm just saying for this game specifically, I think.
Yeah. And I think the reason that they may be waiting is part of the reason they waited an extra week with the D-Hop thing is every week that you wait, that prorated amount you have to pay a guy's contract shrinks a little more and a little more.
That's true.
And a little more. And a team that's tight on the cap space like they are. Also, the Rams probably need to lose a game for them to be willing to trade D-Rob or something like that.
Yeah.
Because they just got Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp back and beat the Vikings. So.
Yeah. all of a sudden they're back in it. So who knows if they're as trade happy. The Titans, they're probably not going to be back in anytime soon. They're seeing like a pretty good fire sale going on over there. But yeah, happy to have D-Hop here. We'll be interested to see if he gets much run during this Raiders game. Like we said, Andy was saying that might as well try to get him in there. I mean, he's played that. It's different than the Kareem Hunt, where like he's already been playing football. He's up to football speed, and he's got a high enough IQ of the game that you can probably give him the playbook and he'd get half of it done by Sunday anyways. So,
and I think
worst case, you just drop a couple special plays for him and get him integrated on some basic stuff. So
I don't even know that you need to draw up special plays for
I
him.
don't think you do either. Yeah, like I said, I think he probably got it already.
Yeah, as long as like Andy mentioned, he's been around the block a while, and for an offense that does a lot of stuff based on what the defense does. So a lot of the routes in Kansas City are determined by what coverage the defense plays, and a lot of those change like in snap. That's why Travis and him and Patrick do the whole freelance thing a lot, supposedly. DeAndre Hopkins brings you another guy that's going to see the field much like a quarterback sees the field. He knows how to attack zone coverages. He knows where the soft spots are in the zone. If you go watch, which most of us probably did that do this, went and watched his tape from Tennessee this year and last year. Last year, his 1,000-yard season, he was tearing teams up. This year, he was doing a lot of the same. The guy throwing him the ball was just not throwing him the ball. Like, there's a lot of times he's wide open, standing around going, can you please, me over here, the big guy with the long hair and the wide openness, throw me the ball.
You're doing a lot of Justin Watson routes, just getting cardio.
So like we were talking about earlier with the different dynamics, but his ability to be able to, I think you're going to see him be able to find those holes, and those are it's really going to add a second true on the same page with Mahomes trust level mentality that you're not seeing out a lot of these young guys, because it takes a really long time to be really good at reading NFL defenses and what they're doing in the split second. That's something we don't talk about a lot. Thing. Yeah. Everybody talks about what Andy's offenses are so hard, it's so difficult. That's a lot of the reason why. They run a lot of plays that everybody else runs. It's how they get to them, what formations they run them out of, when they choose to run them, and you have to make a lot of those decisions on the field at the time that you're playing. So
exactly, reading those zones, finding those soft areas that you can.
And I think Andy, when he talked about it in the presser this week, highlighted and made a really good point and explained it pretty well. Like, he's been around the block. It's not like he's not learning a new language. He's learning a new dialect. And it was a really well put statement and quote. And I think that just kind of highlights what it is. A lot of the NFL offenses are the same language. They're all just different dialects a lot of the time. Now, obviously, Andy does different things than and pretty much anybody else in the league. But
if you've been around a West Coast offense, you kind of get it. The concepts, the schemes, the intentions of a lot of plays, and that's the biggest thing. And also, we talk about the actual play, and then as we know, there's always the second play that happens every play when the play breaks down.
Are you referring to the schoolyard bull stuff?
Yeah, and it's good to have a guy out there who can, identify those situations and react accordingly, Yeah,
well, not just that, but understanding when you're going to. So, and this is what makes Travis Kelce and has made him so special in his career is he knows not just where he is supposed to be, where he's supposed to be going. Thanks, awesome, appreciate it.
We love you listening, and we hope you come back.
Yeah, come on back.
He's in the locker room.
Yeah. I wear clothes on like 95% of episodes. So, so the spacing, right? You know your route, right? That's the basic as a wide receiver. You know where you were supposed to go, but understanding where other receivers on the field are going to be and where they're going, and understanding the spacing and the leverage, because especially we talk about Andy and his ability to scheme players open. So much of his, talent as a play designer is based on that, and there is a lot of nuance to that where we talked about what Kyle Shanahan can catch another stray. His stuff is very, you have to fit in the box, and the moment that player's off that leverage or off his route or off his spot, everything kind of crams up and falls apart. where, Andy, as he's getting these veteran guys with Pat and with Travis, and it's even an evolution, I think, from Andy allowing his players to make some of those decisions. But DeAndre has a very similar understanding of leverage, of the way plays are designed, and I think that's going to play off. And again, I said it, Kyle, while you were away. The two things that I think are going to benefit is, one, we're going to be able to create some more space intentionally, and so we'll see Xavier Worthy probably have some more space for some bigger plays. And then two, like I said, someone needs to find Rashee Rice and enough duct tape to just strap him right onto DeAndre Hopkins' hip, and and don't let him go in. As long as Hopkins is in the building, Rashee Rice.
Everybody in that meeting room. Yeah. If you're not in the building, FaceTime in, get in that meeting room with them. Got to soak up all the knowledge you possibly can from D-Hop. So
well, I just mean especially for Rashee Rice because of the similarities of the play styles and what they can offer. I hope that at the end of this, DeAndre Hopkins is moving away from Kansas City with a restraining order against Rashee Rice for how much he's followed him around. I hope that there's an opportunity there for him to
certainly a way to
learn from an all-time great.
You sure are. You sure do have a way with words. I tell you what. What's up, Randy? How's it going?
Randy.
Okay, so Tom or Kyle, you have any more to say about D-Hop?
The only thing I was going to say in regards to what Tom just mentioned when it comes to DeAndre Hopkins understanding leverage, that's what he's been using as it's one of his best pieces of his skill set. It's the reason he's not worried about being the fastest guy on the field or being the most technical. I mean, he is extremely technical. Don't get me wrong. He's one of the better route runners in the game. But because he is that because he understands how to use leverage. I mean, it's what we talk about with Travis all the time. Travis knows how to set up leverage probably better than just about anybody we've ever seen do it.
Yeah.
He constantly catches the ball and watches a guy go the wrong way, and as he spins back inside and goes upfield, and it's like, how many times are you guys gonna watch him do that and know that that's gonna happen? Well, the problem is when you sit on it and he doesn't cut back up there, then he goes to the outside and he's out the other door. So it's that kind of stuff that's going to give freedom to Patrick and to Andy. Andy with his play calling, Patrick with his decision making, like the deep ball to Xavier Worthy where he hesitates last week or a couple weeks last week when like Tom Brady is like he hesitated, or was it Travis that he hesitated it to? I think it was Travis. Sorry. I apologize. It was the Travis downfield shot that he hesitated on throwing. He half pump faked and didn't rip it right away when he should have. And Tom was like, he hesitated. I don't think that's going to continue as much with DeAndre and now with Travis, because a lot of we talked about, they're going to have to pick your poisons. You cannot, if you double Travis and DeAndre Hopkins, there's enough talent at the other positions, whether it be Noah Gray, whether it be McCole Hardman, whether it be Justin Watson, whether it be Xavier Worthy, whether it be one of the running backs out of the backfield. If you double both of those dudes, you're going to pay dearly. So it's an extra dimension for sure.
Yep. I'm excited for the D-Hop signing, mostly just because of the aura around it. I mean, and also to the demise and the upset of the rest of the league, who is very upset.
It's funny how he went from, he should be on such and such team, he's really good, to as soon as the Chiefs got him, he's washed. He's a bum.
Of course,
it's hilarious.
And everyone's upset that the Chiefs got him, calling it unfair, all that good stuff. Just classic stuff.
Normal, typical
Chiefs
things.
Kingdom. So with that, we've talked for almost 40 minutes here, mostly actually like 30 minutes before our Tom Petty reunion band conversation, but covered the D-Hop signing or trade. Hopefully we'll see him this Sunday versus the Raiders in a little bit of action.
Oh, we'll see him. Andy was like, why not? So, that means he'll be on the field.
So there's a very big game for many reasons. Going down to LA or Las Vegas, I should say.
LV.
The Raiders.
It just changed one initial, really. It's fine.
Going over to Vegas, playing the Raiders. The last time that these two teams met was Christmas Day last year, in which the Chiefs, we can say the Chiefs got their butt whooped. And that instilled some very high confidence in a lot of people over in that Raiders locker room. It's going all the way from the head coach down to the defensive backs. So
Yeah, and I thought it was quite entertaining that Antonio Pierce tried to walk that back today with his tongue-in-cheek "When did I say that?" comment about the Jordan rules comment he made.
You said it. We're gonna see how well that system works out for you. The recipe.
The memory span of the Chiefs and this fan base specifically resembles that of an elephant, not that of a goldfish. So if you're gonna say things, I would suggest making sure that nobody else can hear them, because they will remember what took place.
Yeah, they will remember. Trust me.
Petty is the word of the week.
Yeah, petty is the word. The Chiefs have they're like one word for every season, but this season, whatever that word is, it's changed to petty for this week specifically, because I have a very strong feeling, especially with the rate that this Raiders team is playing, that they might go kind of crazy on them. Andy has never been shy about I don't want to say embarrassing, but definitely making a point against division rivals that he is still the big dog.
Talk too much.
Yeah, and that they talk too much. Yeah, exactly. We've
seen random bus rides around parking lots.
I was going to say the Raiders should really
stop giving them bulletin board material. I don't
think maybe Mark Davis. He's been there for a while. See, I'm like, they should know better, but it's a different head coach every 2
don't know better, really.
They don't learn. I don't know if you noticed or not, but they've been doing the same thing.
But you look at his haircut, so clearly the man's got bad.
Would you think they would learn? He would learn. He's been doing the same thing. They've been doing the same thing for 30 years.
Yep, and just the Jack Jones came out. Nobody's intimidated of their locker room. Okay, all right, cool, man. That's fine. Yep. If I were the coach of the Raiders, here's all my players would be allowed to say for the rest of the week. Good football team. Can't look forward to the challenge of playing them. Good football team. Yeah. And that's it. Tebow that thing to the
Andy Reid. That is an Andy Reid staple. We look forward to playing. Noah Gray did it today. We look forward to playing the challenge of the Raiders.
No matter who you're playing, you treat your opponent with respect, because then you don't have stupid bulletin board material like old Cam Taylor-Britt and the Bengals had. I think he's now benched over there in Cincinnati, so that's interesting. So yeah, and like I said, Andy is not shy about unleashing the dragon on some of these teams. Obviously, we've seen in the past the old hungry pig right with Dontari Poe against the Broncos.
That's a hilarious stat.
If we win this game, Andy will be tied for most wins in Allegiant Stadium. That is
that is a really good stat. Actually, that is tremendous.
You should probably get your own house in order before you start throwing stones at other people's. Don't live in a glass house, my friends, or a Roomba.
Yeah. So here's the other piece, and that themes with the petty conversation. I would also not specifically target the guy who looks for literally anything for motivation at this point.
And who sees everything. He sees everything.
Oh, everything.
Yeah. He said that. We'll send it to him. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
His personal trainer loves firing him off.
Bobby is the patroller on that topic right there. I'll tell you what. Bobby will find it.
Shout out Bobby Stroop that takes care of Patrick during pretty much year round with the whole with him and his body, him and that dad bod that they've got primed and in perfect shape and condition. And
being the first person on the planet to teach a defensive end how to bend. That is still
George Karlaftis balling out. The puppet is the thing that I think he's going to fixate on. The other stuff is one thing that we've heard. You got to hit him because Mike Florio said that they had to try to kill him to be able or injure him to be able to beat him, and then he ran a dude over from the Niners, and then told everybody that he was told he had to be hit. Patrick, in his petty mode, is probably the most dangerous player in the league when he is fully engaged in the angry pettiness. I don't know what came over the 7th round rookie.
He was led astray. Someone set him up.
His fan base set him up. Whichever fan brought that puppet and handed him that set him up.
They must have hunted out the rook because he didn't know any better.
And here's the problem: he's only played like less than 30 snaps this year. I want to say.
Yeah, he probably won't be effective.
Trey Taylor.
Other people. It's Jack Jones. It's other guys on that line. They're trying to, and I get it. You want to have the Raider culture, but you gotta earn it a little bit, man. A little bit more. I
mean, they're riding off a high because they got a win off us.
Yeah,
so I mean, they're riding off that.
They've
high,
also never beaten us in their own building.
Yeah,
there's that too.
Patrick is undefeated in Allegiant Stadium. Undefeated.
Yeah. Undefeated. Yeah.
He also has a Super Bowl ring in there. He also has the most playoff wins in there. He has.
Yeah, I want to say he had more wins than Derek Carr had in that stadium. If I remember that being correct.
That sounds right.
Yeah. So
maybe we should get a puppet of who's playing quarterback for the Raiders this week.
Is that Gardner Minshew? I think.
Great question. Yeah,
Aiden O'Connell got blasted.
Maybe Desmond Ritter? Is that no?
Desmond Ritter?
They brought Desmond Ritter in, but I think they're starting Gardner because Desmond's only been there for like less than a week.
Yes, very successful quarterback room there. Definitely puppet.
So so with the Petty, also I would keep an eye out for if this does get out of hand and he goes for he's got 200 yards and 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. And you see him pull out a puppet celebration, I would not be remotely surprised.
Take the flag.
Yeah.
Then after the game, he'll be standing at midfield whenever whoever's running into the end zone, and he'll be over there going.
Yeah.
I'm saying, what if they break out an actual puppet? That'd be great.
If they brought out a Kermit the Frog puppet, I would die. That would be take your 15,
35-yard, where they want to.
I'd take a. Give the other team give them 7 points.
You can have 7 points. I want to see Kermit the Frog.
That'd be worth it.
If Patrick Mahomes throws a touchdown, runs down the end zone, and fishes a puppet out of the goalpost, a la Joe Horn and the cell phone.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'll get it tattooed on wherever. We'll do a poll on Twitter. I'll get the tattoo wherever you guys want.
I'd probably join you with that one. It's
I mean,
that happens.
We know that they're petty enough. Yeah, we know they're petty enough. I remember
somebody's having trouble spelling. And
Queens. That's good.
The Queens. Well, I don't.
We know. We know that Pat's petty enough. If you remember, he and Kelsey went on the McAfee show and said that on the ASU championship game, if Justin Tucker would have missed that game tying kick, they would have ran out on the field and celebrated right in his face, took the 15-yard penalty. So we might be seeing some of that this weekend. But yeah, coming as far as the matchup, obviously, like we said, Gardner Minshew is their starting quarterback. It has not been very good sailing so far for them with Gardner Minshew at the helm, or anyone at the helm, really. It's not been the greatest of sledding. They're 2-5 so far this year. And offensively, they just trade away Devontae Adams. That's another key piece that is missing for the Raiders in this game.
Literally the first game last season, Yasha. Figure it out. It's not that hard to use Google.
Yeah.
We don't got feed
when's the last time? Hey, no, it's fair. Listen, they got one. They
did get one. Yeah.
We can talk about the records. We could talk about Super Bowl rings. We gotta let's acknowledge it. They won
They did win.
matchup.
I mean, we did.
The most recent matchup. Last year they did win. Listen, it's okay. It's a fair point. If my team beats you and whatever, I'll take it. I'll talk. Listen, I got respect for it. But Super Bowls.
Who had a ring at
Super Bowls, and even if you want to go, that's past. Well, who's 6-0 right now?
I would also like, and honestly, that win did seem to do us some favors because it allowed us to remember that we should actually go out and pummel teams and win games. So,
hey, listen, we got love for everybody. It's Raiders week, but we're glad you're here. Thanks for showing up. And,
thanks for coming and supporting the Chiefs podcast.
Thanks for the views, buddy.
Hey, you are welcome. Give us a holler, man. Make sure you're following on.
Get into and try giveaway. Rasheed Rice dominates you guys most matchups that he plays. So go win a cool print from our guy Corey Jones over there. Get a cool Rasheed Rice on fire print.
To get back to the actual deficit of the Raiders, their offensive line is tough right now, and by tough I mean not in the greatest position. They have a couple of rookies, I think, starting at portions of that line. They've been banged up.
We'll break into it. Hey, have a good day too. See you Sunday. We'll see you Sunday. We'll see how that goes.
It'll be good. Put that on.
But,
I don't know.
So the Raiders offense definitely a little bit questionable this year. Like I said, Devontae Adams no longer there. Jacoby Myers is their number one receiver, essentially. He's questionable for the game. Behind him, they have Trey Tucker and DJ Turner as their other wide receivers. Yeah,
he's one of those smaller guys who might frustrate us because he can kind of slip under those press coverages, but not going to dominate the game or anything.
Yeah, a little bit. Both of them are smaller guys. Trey Tucker and DJ Turner, both those small guys. They got Brock Bowers still at tight end, so that's that was their first round pick this year. Michael Mayer, who was a big threat for him last year, he's out for the game, so we don't got to worry about that.
Brock Bowers is a stud.
Brock Bowers is tremendous. Yeah, we can't discount Brock Bowers. Unfortunately, he went to the Raiders, and so they're probably going to ruin him. But hey, he is a good player.
Ask the Ravens about Brock Bowers. Ask the Ravens.
Yeah, that's a rough one.
Outside of those guys I mentioned, Harrison Bryant was also on the injury report for him, DNP all week with a questionable status. That's their backup tight end. Tommy Eichenberg, their linebacker, is questionable for the game with a quad. Kanai Mauga, they're another linebacker, questionable for the game. Max Crosby was on the injury report with an ankle injury. He was
on
probably going to
Thursday.
be good.
It was out of nowhere, and then he was fine on Friday.
One little quick one. Adam Butler, defensive tackle, was on there with the hip. He was limited and then full for the rest of the week.
Dylan Parham being on there and being out already is not great for them. That's their starting right guard.
Starting guard with a foot injury. He was DNP'd all
that
week.
Means
he's now
that
out.
You're likely getting second year player out of Western Kentucky, Jordan Meredith, at right guard for them, unless they do some shuffling.
Maybe Jackson Howard Johnson, the rookie.
JPJ is the other guard, I believe.
Yeah, that's their other option essentially. So
that's not the guy behind him is Cody Whitehair. He's a backup from K-State. If you're from the Kansas area, you'll know who Cody Whitehair is. But that is a bad matchup for the Raiders because the strength right now of this defense is the interior defensive line. Chris Jones, Tershawn Wharton, Mike Pennell, Derek Nottie, they are destroying team. Felix played inside last week and showed out and had a good time. He busted Trent Williams' ass on a few run plays where he's just absolutely setting the edge against Trent Williams is an accomplishment. I don't care what people seem to not understand about that. I don't know what people seem to not understand about that. The fact that we're seeing Felix, which I'm very happy about. I was very critical at the beginning of the year of Felix, especially with his ability to get off the ball. He's taken massive leaps this season. He's showing big-time flashes. He's making plays. And when they needed him to, because Mike Dana's been out. So, but them having a rookie and a backup at the other guard is not necessarily what you want for Gardner Minshew to have to deal with.
No, not really. Yeah.
And then like I said, Colt Miller's was one of their tackles, and he's been on the injury report. So
yeah.
And also, the offensive line being banged up is not an ideal scenario for Gardner Minshew,
who was also on the injury report with a right elbow injury. He was a full participant all week, but that is his throwing elbow.
That's not great either. But I think, and the other thing is, because this is a division game, because this is a not a non-liked opponent, I won't go full like Gunther Cunningham hatred like Gunther used to hate them. But Spags is probably going to spam the blitz button because I just don't think they can do anything with it.
Yeah.
And he's been confusing much better quarterbacks than Gardner Minshew.
Brock Purdy had a real tough time.
He threw the ball to two different rookies who had not really played much for interceptions in that game, and neither one of those throws were particularly close. Now, George hit Brock on one of those.
That was part of that D-line. Yeah, that D-line putting the pressure on.
The other one, though, he just threw it to Christopher Roland Wallace. I'm still trying to figure out who that ball was supposed to be, too, because
nobody knew who he was, including the opposing quarterback. Is that what it was? Oh, I guess not.
So,
I've never seen that guy before. Here he is.
And they also haven't had a run game in Vegas, and that's just not a good combination.
Yeah, they signed Alexander Madison this offseason to replace Josh Jacobs. Spoiler alert, Josh Jacobs is having a much better year over in Green Bay than Alexander Madison.
And Alexander Madison's not even really playing because they've been starting Zamir White, and they were using Amir Abdullah when Zamir was banged up more than they were using Alexander Madison. So this offense for the Raiders is a large reason of why I don't think this game is going to be particularly close. Just because, barring the turnover bug being as bad, being similarly bad to the Christmas game or to a couple of the games earlier this year, and even if they turned it over, I don't know that there's enough horses in the barn to get them across the finish line. Their offense is a problem, and it's even more of a problem, as Garrett mentioned, once you trade Devontae Adams away. So this is not an ideal situation for this offense.
Yeah, and their offense the highest points that their offense has scored this year is 22 points in week 1, and then they had 20 points, 18 points, 13 points, and 15 points. So that's against not as good defenses.
It's not the Chiefs' defense.
So safe to say Spags might have a very good time. I don't know if the Raiders get many points, if any, on Sunday. I'm just being honest.
Touchdown at the end.
Maybe.
If that defense has a bagel up going into the end of the fourth, towards the latter half of the fourth quarter, they're gonna do everything on planet Earth to keep that bagel on the board.
Yeah. So that will be a very interesting.
Sometimes Andy calls off the dogs, but yeah.
I don't think that's happening this week.
This is not a game you call off the dogs for, I think, but we'll see.
Not with all the conversation, not with all the statements made, not with all the pre-stuff, and not with it being the Raiders. Like, Andy has proven, I am willing to bury division opponents if I have to. And so with their lack of a run game and the lack of the ability to block one-on-one or in a traditional sense, this D-line, most specifically Chris Jones, it's very difficult to see the way that they score more than 10 points, 15, 14 points.
Yeah, I agree. So, defense, never something to worry about with the Chiefs, especially going into this matchup. Obviously, the thing that's been more concerning and more unpredictable would be the Chiefs' offense this year. And all the chemistry issues are already talked about, and the losing different guys. You're on none of the 3 starting receivers that you envisioned for this season are basically in their respective spots. So that's not ideal. And then, like I said, Juju's already declared out for this game. So is Mike Dana. Sky Moore is obviously not going to play. He's on IR. So you have DeAndre Hopkins and a bunch of other young faces that don't have a ton of play. Well, McCole has a ton of play.
McCole's not all that young anymore.
McCole, you got veteran presence. McCole here. Justin Watson's still there, and then you have Xavier Worthy. So just a very interesting personnel grouping. Kareem Hunt still there, still balling.
Boy, he likes playing the Raiders.
Yeah.
We've got that to deal with too.
Yeah, and I saw somewhere that the Raiders are like top 5 worst teams in run defense this year. So that's
just top 5 worst teams.
Well, yeah, top 5 worst teams in general, but their run defense particularly has not been great this year. And with the way that the Chiefs have been winning these past few weeks, there is a good chance that Kareem Hunt has a really big game once again, and he pops off for over 100 yards and whatnot, because they might do a lot of hammering the rock, and then once they get into that red zone goal line situation, they bust out some ring around the rosies or something and really just shove it down their throat. But ultimately the Chiefs offense is kind of what we live and die by every week. We've seen it start to get better these past few weeks. Pat hasn't, he had two interceptions last week, but they weren't really on him. They weren't
one tip and one fell down.
They weren't like bad decisions or anything like that. So the offense has been slowly eliminating their self-made mistakes. We had talked about on the last episode, one of those stats they're almost leading the league in is not having any negative plays. All the plays that they're running are, for the most part, positive gaining plays. So that's a really key feature. It'll be interesting to see what version of the offense shows up. I would expect, you're very familiar with the Raiders team. Their personnel. Obviously, you got Max Crosby on the other side, who's a beast.
He's my main concern for this game.
Yeah,
he's always pretty much every time we
pretty
play
big
them.
concern in any game that we're playing versus the Raiders. But outside of him, I mean, they have a couple interesting names, I guess, on that defense.
Much like the interior offensive line is a problem for them, I don't trust a lot of their interior defensive line, especially against the Chiefs' interior O-line. The Chiefs' interior O-line, especially Trey Smith, have been destroying teams inside. And I expect more of the same to continue this weekend. They're going to run the ball with Kareem pretty consistently again.
Pretty hard. Yeah.
I think you're going to get a heavy dose of can you stop it? And the answer is probably not.
If you don't like it, stop it.
They've got some limitations on the defensive end, on the defensive side. Max is a bad matchup. Neither one of these tackles. Now, Juwan was pretty decent against him last year. Wanye saw him a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's not a great matchup because Max Crosby is one of the best pass rushers in the league. That's how that works.
Yes.
The problem that they have is that's really kind of it on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, I mean, they got Divine Diablo, their linebacker, who he's a good player. Robert Spillane, also another linebacker. He's a good run defender, although obviously hasn't helped them very much if their run defense stats are that low this year.
Hey, did you know that Marvin Lewis is the assistant head coach in Oak?
I did know that.
I did not.
Yeah, my Antonio Pierce, he hired a couple former head coaches to be on his staff.
Luke Getsy is his OC right now, and
be
the interim when he gets fired.
He tried his best to assemble a team of guys that could kind of give him some kind of fast track the experience factor for him. But yeah, I never thought that the Antonio Pierce experiment is going to work out very well, and they're 2-5. So I don't know. With that being said, they got Jack Jones, who we've talked about already. He is a good player. To his credit, he is a pretty decent player. Other than that, in the secondary though, there's not a lot of other notable names. So yeah, it's just going to be like we said. It usually always just kind of hinges on what the Chiefs do. Running game's going to be
under
a big factor.
2.5 fun plays.
Oh, fun play! I'm taking the over on that one. I'm thinking might be. Feel like you should almost split that up from middle of the field plays and then like red zone goal line plays, because I could see getting 3 middle of the field plays like that, and then at least 3 red zone plays that are very fun. So we'll see. Something else I feel like I haven't seen anyone mention or talk about, but Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who made his return, he was activated last week, didn't play. He wasn't on the injury report or anything this year. It'll be TBD, I guess, if they activate him for this game or not. But we might see CEH's debut. I haven't seen anything about that though, so I don't know if that's a plan or not.
If they were to activate him, I don't know that they call up another wide receiver, because I think at that point you're getting to there's only a limited number of spots on the game day roster, and there's a limited number of guys to carry. That would also have them carrying basically 4 running backs and a fullback.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so who knows if they decide to go that route. But they do have Clyde in the wings just in case they feel like maybe they'll line him up at wide receiver again, like they did that one week, like week 17 or week 18 versus the Chargers.
That's what we wanted him for when we when they drafted him and everybody went and watched him in college and watched what he was. It was to use him in the passing game. Like, he was a fine running back, but most of it was he is dangerous in the screen game, the passing, that short and intermediate passing game. He can make linebackers look bad trying to cover him one-on-one. Now, we all know the steps different after the ankle injuries and whatnot. He's looked different. He's coming off the NFI list with the mental stuff, with the PTSD that he was very open about. So this would also not surprise me that if they did activate him, this would be a let's give him a little bit and see if we can't get him going too, to add another dynamic and some more depth and dimension to this offense. So no, I would not rule out the possibility that you see him lined up at wide receiver some, because he does know the offense. He has been asked to do some of those things at the receiver spot. So it's an interesting place that we find ourselves with this Raiders game, because they could definitely try some things here. Not to say that they're going to overlook or any of that, but just the ability to, and especially if they get out early and get up early and get up fairly large early, you turn the other team into a one-dimensional passing team, and that's not, we already talked about how that's not probably going to be great.
No.
For them as a matchup perspective. So if they do that, that allows them to then go into the, hey, we can try to do this and give some of these guys this, and you might see them work on some extra things that maybe they don't get to try out or test out in a lot of other regular season games. So
yeah, it's still early enough that they're putting things on film to kind of mess things up, and again, everything that's happening right now, the wins matter, but what matters a lot more is making sure this team is ready, come playoff time. And
again, that is the biggest thing.
That's and games against teams like the Raiders that you are familiar with, that you and there's going to be a little bit of extra intensity. You want to also have that on film for the second matchup, right? Like that there's layers to the strategies here. So I'm not super stressed about their defense, but I think the Chiefs in this situation, the Chiefs have to beat themselves for the Raiders to have I think a really a legitimate chance.
Pretty much.
So that's my analysis.
So
all right.
That is, I think, a lot of the conversation. They have to not beat themselves. They have to not do and this was a litmus
Have a good night,
test.
Randy.
Yes. Randy, good luck to you and your team tomorrow night. I know you guys had a great season. I meant to give you a shout out earlier, my friend. We'll reconnect here very soon and be talking ball before you know it. But yes, good luck tomorrow. Keep doing the good work with those kids, man.
So that portion of and much what Tom just said. Good luck, Randy. Good luck to the fellas that you got coaching tomorrow. It's so nice, because I was just happened to take a quick glance at the standings. And they have a 3-game lead in the division right now in the loss column. Now the Broncos are playing the Panthers this week, and we've discussed that the Panthers are not really playing anyone, as a matter of fact. Adam Thielen's not playing. Deontay Johnson's not playing. There's several other guys on that list that aren't playing. But with that, that's Denver's the next closest team in the division. And the goals for this team and the way that Andy structures this stuff is always win the AFC West, get the number 1 seed, then get to the playoff, then worry about the playoffs, then worry about the Super Bowl. They've always been process driven. They always been step by step by step. Goals are tiered out in that manner. They're taking care of business early. The beginning of this season was the toughest portion of their schedule, as at the beginning. It was the first 5, 6, 7 games.
Yep.
And now
we got a little bit easier sledding.
Now that they're here and they've made it through that, and they're completely unbeaten, even while not really playing great football at all times and not really putting a game together, and having a bunch of things change and dealing with a bunch of injuries and adversity, you just see how hard it is to win in this league, but what it looks like when a team knows how to win, knows how the process works, and knows what to do about it when things are going on. It's a testament to the coaching staff. It's a testament to the leadership in the room. And it gives them the ability to go in and focus on games like this, where there's some times like Christmas Day, they can't beat themselves, because the reason they lost on Christmas was they beat themselves. They spotted them. The Raiders didn't complete a pass after halftime.
Yeah. Yep.
I think they only completed one after the first quarter.
Pretty much,
Legitimately,
after that.
We gave them 14 points. gave them in that Christmas Day game.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. That
Don't
was a
beat
silly
yourselves.
one. Yeah.
And go out and put together a clean 60-minute game and show exactly what this team can do when it's all clicking, so that people can stop pretending like we didn't play the Ravens week 1.
Exactly. Okay, so with all of that being said, before we get into our score predictions here, while we have everybody here, want to once again say thank you all so much for the support. Be sure to get entered into our giveaway going on over on Twitter and Facebook to get a chance to.
I know a lot of you are watching on Twitter. Go right underneath this link, right underneath the video you're watching. We put the contest link underneath it. Go in there, get it.
Go retweet, follow us, follow Corey, get a chance to win that Rashee Rice print. That giveaway ends tomorrow night at midnight. So yeah, be sure to follow us on all those platforms, and just in general, just follow us over at YouTube. Follow us on Spotify, Apple Music, wherever you get your podcasts at. We greatly appreciate it because this is great. This is a great night so far. We have a lot of viewers, and a lot of them are on Twitter, which is great. But we do have a lot of content planned on the YouTube side of things over there as well. So if you're here on Twitter right now, go check us out on the YouTubes and drop a subscribe and a like over there. We greatly appreciate everybody for tuning in and rocking with us tonight. So with that being said, boys, fellas, score predictions. Tom, I'm making you go first.
10 million to 1. No. I think.
Do we want the line and the over/under on this so that you guys can have a little?
Yeah, give me the line and the over so I can figure out what those mean.
So at the 1 point, the Chiefs were. I think this game opened at 9.5-point favorites. I've seen it basically move up to 10.
Half-point favorites on the road.
Yeah. Not ideal for the Raiders in that category, but
no respect for them.
9.5 was where it opened, I believe. The 10 points was the where I've seen it in a lot of the books. I want to say the over under was like 40 something, which just seems crazy high. Unless you think the Chiefs are scoring 40 on their own.
Yeah, the Chiefs might get it alone. That's the only way. Yeah.
So that part, what is happening? Where? Well, I was trying to. Normally, they're just right there at the top of my. Oh, there it is. Over/under is 41.5. So they're 10-point favorites, and the over/under is 41.5. So if that gives you a little bit of a window into what Vegas thinks this game could look like,
I'm gonna go. I think that we're gonna look at 34 to 13 Chiefs.
Okay, that's gotta be a pretty good game, I'd say. That'd be a pretty good. That'd be a pretty good one.
I think we'll get one Kareem touchdown on the ground, three Patty tutties through the air. Make me do math on a live show. This isn't fair.
28. That's 28.
Field goal.
Maybe a Carson Steele tutty.
2 field goals. That makes sense.
2 field goals. Yeah,
or 2 field goals. Yeah, 2
and
field
then
goals.
I think the Raiders will get 2 field goals, and then it will be
random
touchdown. We put the backups in, whatever. Once Carson Wentz is warming up on the sidelines.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, guys, you have Arrowhead Tom's parlay. Everyone lock that one in right there. Kareem Hunt, anytime touchdown. Patrick Mahomes over 2.5. Lock that in. Kyle, what are you thinking score prediction wise?
So if they were to do that, that would be the first game they've scored 30 in like 20, I think, or 21 games. Or
28
like
is the record right now.
Oh, okay. All right. I'll just leave. I'll go. It's fine.
On that same note, I do think they cracked the 30 mark this week, but I don't know that they let off the gas. Mostly because I don't think they're going to let off the gas pedal. I don't know that you're going to see the bench. I don't know that you're going to see the second string.
You might just keep on sending it.
They've got some stuff they're going to want to work on, like I talked about a little bit earlier, especially getting DeAndre Hopkins integrated into this offense, kind of feeling how that fits, kind of seeing how that flows. They're going to be working on some guys in the secondary because Jalen Watson is out for probably the season with what he did with his broken ankle. Josh Williams and Najee Johnson are going to be looking for that spot. Who gets it? Who excels with it? It's going to matter. I also think they're going to turn them over a couple of times. I think the Chiefs defense is going to continue the trend that they started with the Saints when it came to turnovers and getting the ball and taking the ball away. And they've kind of continued it throughout with what they did to Brock Purdy last week. This defense is a legitimate problem for the rest of the league. How good it is, how deep it is. Chris Jones is on the hunt for a DPOY, and this is probably his best opportunity to get one of those in the last several years, and that's not lost on him, I don't think. I think they're going to blast this team. I'm going to go 38-3.
Okay.
And I think the 3 is on like a really long, we just want to put something on the board at home. God, I'm kicking a 58-yard field goal and it bounces, like something like that. Yeah. Where we can't get shut out after I said Jordan rules and then we did the puppet thing. And now that we're not scared of them and we're not intimidated and they have done everything possible to give the Chiefs more ammunition than they ever needed. This is a game to go out and make a statement. Hey, we're for real again. We know who we are. We know what we're capable of. We've not played well all year, really, but this team is going to figure out not to poke the bear.
I like that. I like that a lot. I'm in the same line of thinking as both of you guys. Although I'm going even more extreme, I think. The Chiefs, very many times versus the Raiders in the Patrick Mahomes era, have dropped over 40 points versus,
I was waiting
versus
for
the
it.
Raiders.
I knew he was going to say it. Oh, boy.
So I'm going to go with going back to the 2021 days where both games that the Chiefs played versus the Raiders that year, the scores were 41-14 Chiefs and 48-9 Chiefs. So we're gonna take it back to the 2021 days. I'm gonna go for just a safe, comfortable 41-6 final result for the Chiefs. I think the game gets out of hand pretty quickly. I think the Raiders attempt a few field goals early on because maybe the Chiefs don't score on their first drives, and so they're like, "Oh, we can get away with kicking a field goal or two here, on a couple drives. We're only down by one if they score a touchdown or whatever." Like, I think they get a little silly in that regard, and then second quarter on the throttle is all the way turned up, the boost is all the way up on the meter. I think they get pretty petty with this one, as that has been the word of the week. And I don't think they let off the gas. I don't think that's going to be something that we have to worry about the Chiefs doing this week. So, of course, as we've all predicted these massive blowouts, it'll probably be like 29-28 or something silly like that.
9-6. It's going to be an awful one. We're going to just grind it out.
Exactly. But I think it should be a really good game regardless. In that afternoon time slot on CBS, which is back on the CBS. I think we're probably going to have, if I had to guess, Romo and Nance as the play callers.
I'd be almost
anytime the Chiefs are on CBS, they're pigeoning in a Romo and Nance call on there, which I'm all down for. I like Romo and Nance. 13-6.
Thank you for offsetting us by going as.
You mean to say 43-6? I think he meant to say 43-6. Come on. So yeah, should be never look close. You're right. Yeah, the score might not be a great representation of what the game ends up looking like, but we'll see. So everybody, be sure to tune in Sunday for the game and all the fun stuff that goes along with that in Vegas. I don't think I'm gonna randomly buy tickets to the game the night before like I did last year, but I could. I really could.
Might.
If the ticket prices are low enough, you never know. It's only a 2-hour drive to Vegas, so I'm.
I just want to say, and I'll wrap my last thoughts up with this, and then Garrett will get us all the way out of here, and Tom will have, I'm sure, maybe one or two more final thoughts. Patrick has one loss inside, and it was the Colts game several years ago. We all know the Colts game I'm talking about. We don't have to go too deep into that. That him in a dome, him indoors is a perfect setup for him to have just an excellent
Was
day.
that Colts game in Indianapolis?
Yes, it was.
It
was off the ankle injury, and he was in Indy, and it was very ugly.
Yeah.
And so I know for a fact because Chris Broussard never, ever lets Nick Wright forget it. And as a matter of fact, I think Nick mentioned that today on the show when they were talking about it. But indoors at Allegiant.
Oh, yeah.
They are also, this team has never lost in Allegiant Stadium. We talked about that a little bit earlier. They are the team he's built to play in this environment. So that said, this is going to be a good weekend. I hope a very stressless weekend. I hope. If you are in the Twitter chat, if you are on there, please hop over to the YouTube. Also, feel free to drop questions, comments. We're going to keep doing these lives on Friday nights probably, or at least later in the week. We're going to definitely try to keep doing these. We love that you guys are hanging out with us. We'd love for you guys to interact and shoot whatever questions or thoughts you got in the chat. Shout out to our KL368 in the YouTube, been very active all night. For your first episode tuning in too. Like I said, we appreciate it. So thanks again for everybody coming in, checking out. Like, subscribe, share, YouTube, Spotify, Amazon, Apple Music, any place you get your podcasts. If you want to watch us and see what all of us look like, as Tom likes to remind everybody, I think we're the tallest podcast in the Chiefs Kingdom.
We are
by average height. So
I would argue that we have the best looking dogs collectively.
Oh yeah, he's hanging out. We got two mascots. Mine's right next to my feet right now.
Yeah, no, Scout is actually over here snoring. I had to mute my mic earlier. No, for real though, we appreciate all the support, all the love. Give us a like. Also, I know you hear this from every podcast you listen to, but leaving a 5-star review really does help. So if you don't mind doing that. If you want to leave a less than 5-star review, that's fine, but you do have to come outside and fight me in the parking lot first before I'll allow it. So give me a holler.
Big guy, you don't want to do that.
DMs
big guy
are open if you want to leave less than 5 stars. But even if you just say 5 stars and keep it brief, but
it does help. But let's just reach more people.
Yeah. And again, we know everybody's begging for it. We do this because we love it, not because we're getting famous off it yet anyways. So now they let some of my pre-show ramblings go, leak those out. We might go viral for all the wrong reasons. But
Tom, they let that big beautiful beard go anywhere. I'll tell you what.
We had the conversation about me just shaving my head on the podcast and letting it ride, seeing if we could maybe bridge it over to OnlyFans. I don't know. Either way. Leave those likes, leave those reviews. That way I don't have to open a Chiefs the Kingdom Says OnlyFans account to pay the bills. So we appreciate you guys. Garrett, I'm going to steal your thunder unless you're going to do. Can I say goodbye to them? Can I wrap it? Or we didn't talk about
You can wrap it. Can I have my wrapping final thoughts? I don't really have many wrapping final thoughts.
Why does Tom live in the Chiefs locker room?
Because he's locked in. He's always on the grind. He's getting the great scoops and news articles before everybody else. He was on the hot trade way early. I
actually helped put the nameplate up.
He was out there. Yeah, he was in there right away. Helped put that nameplate up.
DeMarcus Robinson's jersey held for him.
Put that one down. Might need that one, but for now.
I again appreciate all the love. Thanks for joining us tonight. We'll be back all throughout the season. Yes, I'll start talking about draft prospects soon. And again, thank you guys so much for all the love. We will see you guys next time.